Exercise 3. In Exercise 3, we'll learn a few of the unique aspects of Photoshop. First, we're going to actually create a canvas to put a picture on. Then we're going to learn a little bit of how Photoshop handles colors other than those in the picture itself. Photoshop can create multiple layers in a picture, much like animation cells. Pictures on clear plastic which can be stacked up so that you can form multiple layers and they'll create one picture. Okay, to start with, let's create a canvas. So I'll go to File, New. Now, this is set for pixels, and I'm going to create a canvas that is 400 pixels by 400 pixels by resolution by 500 dots per inch. Now, I usually do not use pixels. You have a choice of a number of things: pixels, inches, centimeters, millimeters, points, picas, columns. I usually use inches because I understand inches best. I've been in printing a long time, so I know what picas and things are, but inches are just easiest for me to use. But in this case, we'll use pixels. So then you click OK. Now, if this is a huge size, this is about 468 kilobytes. If this were gigabytes, it usually means you did not have it set for pixels, you had it set for inches. If so, close it and create a new canvas. Okay, now what we're going to do, we're going to add some color to this canvas. Now over here, these little boxes are controlling what colors you can use. Photoshop will use two at a time. To begin with, they're set in black and white. There are a lot of different ways to get colors. I prefer the swatches. You can go under and choose other color methods in here. You can actually just double click in the box and you can come up with colors that you can go through here and click on any of them. But I'm going to use right now swatches. We'll get into some of the others a little bit later. The picture I'm going to put onto this is a stylized butterfly. It's done in shades of yellows, oranges, and browns. So I want to pick some colors that will go well with that. In this case, I'm going to get a pink here. You'll notice when I click on the swatch, it puts it as the foreground color here. I can then reverse these colors and choose another one. So I'm now going to also get a yellow here. So I've got my colors, the yellow and pink. Now you can only use two colors at a time. Once you have put the colors onto the canvas, however, you can change and go to two more colors and it won't change what you've already put down. I'm going to now use the gradient tool here. The gradient tool will cause these colors that I've picked to blend together. Instead of creating a solid line between them, it will cause a fade in between. Across the top here you have the different types of gradient masks you can put down. So for example, if we pick that one and put the picture across here, you'll begin to notice what it does. So you can see sort of how these masks are going to lay things down. That one doesn't have much of a blend to it. So you begin to see sort of what it does. I'm going to go with just the straight gradient mask, going from the foreground color to the background color. I'm going to go up here to the top corner. I'm going to click the mouse, and while holding the button down, I'm going to draw a line down to the opposite corner and just let the mouse button go. Okay, now notice it put foreground color to background color and it faded them together in between. Now I'm going to add a few special effects to these colors, some very simple ones. The effects filters are under filters. You'll notice you have a lot of different ones here, and there are a lot of different effects under each one of the filters. I've got the distortion filter here. I'm going to go under it and I'm going to go to shear. Okay, we'll get it started back where it was. This is the open regular shear pattern. It's taking top to bottom here. This is the line that represents it. Wrap around is checked so that as you shear these colors, in other words, as you pull them one way or the other, it will wrap the colors around instead of getting white areas in between here. Now, what you can do here, you can go any place on this line, you can grab it and you can pull it. And you'll notice what's happening here. And I'm going to grab that and pull it the other way. So you can actually begin doing some strange little patterns in here. Okay. When you get what you want, sort of like that effect here, you just click OK, and it'll apply it to the image over here. Now, shear only goes horizontally. So if you wanted it to be vertical, all you would have to do is go to Image, and you just go down and rotate this. Well, 90 degrees, you can see what it would look like if they went vertical. Okay, let's unrotate it. Okay, now we've got these basic shears here. Let's add another effect. Under here, also under Distort, I want to go down to Twirl. Okay, let's put it back right here, sort of in the center. Now, this represents the lines vertically and horizontally, and this little control here controls how much it will twirl the colors. As I pull them this way, you'll notice it's going to spiral them in. As I go the other way, it spirals the other way. And I can sort of move this back and forth until I get a spiral that I like. That's not too bad. Click OK again, and it'll apply it. Okay, this is going to be the background that we're going to put the picture onto. So now let's open the picture. Again, remember, Photoshop has to open the picture so that it can actually use it. So we'll go down to File, Open. I'm going to go into the exercises. This is exercise 3. And I'm going to open the butterfly. This very stylized butterfly over here. I'm going to turn on the Move tool. I'm going to go over here. I'm going to grab the butterfly by clicking the mouse down and holding it, and then I'll pull it over onto the other picture. And we put the butterfly there. Can now get rid of that. Okay, this butterfly is pretty big for this background, so I'm going to size it. To do that, I'm going to go under Edit and down to Free Transform. Now, Free Transform will let me change the size of the butterfly. If I hold down the Shift key while pulling out any corner, it will change proportionally. So I can do it that way, and then I can move it around any place that I would like. The reason I can do that, over here you'll notice this has actually created another layer. This layer contains just the butterfly, while the layer below it contains the background. So we've got these two. This checked pattern that you're seeing here means that the background is clear. Okay, one other thing let's show you with the Free Transform. Okay, if I don't hold down the Shift key and I grab any of these things, you can see you can make it real skinny, or I can make it real fat. In other words, I can distort the size of the butterfly too. I liked it before, so we won't apply that. I'll move this butterfly to where I want it. A little slow there. Now I'm going to do one more effect with this butterfly. I'm going to go over here onto this Layers palette. I'm going to grab this top layer, click on it, hold the mouse button down, and I'm going to drag it down to this little symbol right here. That little symbol, it will copy it. So now I've got two butterflies right here. The little symbols down here as you go across, this one is the mask symbol that'll put it on. This one is the wastebasket so you can throw it away. These other ones we'll get to a little bit later, but these are the ones you primarily use: the copy, the wastebasket, and the mask. Okay, I've got two butterflies here. So now what we're going to do, I'm going to use one of these butterflies to create a shadow, so it'll give me a nice three-dimensional effect. I'm going to choose a nice color, darker one that I think will go with that. Get that brown. I'm going to go into Edit, go down to Fill. I'm going to use foreground color, which is this brown. I want to set the opacity to 100. We'll start with that. And I want to click Preserve Transparency. What that means is it will only fill the butterfly, not the whole part, not all the background. Whatever's clear will remain clear. Let me show you what happens if you don't click that. And see, it just fills everything. I don't like that, so I'm going to go back in here, Edit, Fill again, click the Preserve Transparency, then I'll fill it. So it only fills the butterfly here. Now, a shadow shouldn't have real hard edges, so I'm going to go in here and I'm going to soften these edges up by blurring them. So back to the filters again, down to blur, then I'm going to go down to Gaussian blur. Gaussian blur basically lets you control how much blur is going on. And you'll be able to see it here in this picture. The higher I go, the more the blur. The lower I go, the less the blur. You can actually blur it to where it just disappears altogether. But let's get back to where we keep the butterfly. We get sort of a blur into it like it was a shadow. Then I'm going to click OK. Well, that wasn't very satisfying. Now you just got a messy butterfly. But this is going to be a shadow, so the shadow should be underneath the butterfly. So I'm going to go over here to the layers. You can move these layers around and rearrange them. So I'm going to take this layer, I'm going to click on it and hold the button down, and I'm going to drag it down. Now, notice what happens when I get below that one. You'll notice the line suddenly gets wider. That indicates the layer is now below it. So I'm going to let go, and it moved that layer down. But you'll notice this dark blue indicates this is still the active layer. So I can move this now. I can go over, I've got the Move tool, and I can shift the shadow around. So now I can move it around to give me a sort of three-dimensional effect, like the butterfly was flying over this strange little background you got down here. And I can move it where I want. Now, under layers a little bit in the next lesson, you'll learn they do have an effect which will give you a drop shadow. But this method of doing a drop shadow lets you position it where you want, rather than just where the computer thinks it should go. The shadow is still a little bit dark here, so I'm also going to go over here to the opacity, click on that, and I'm going to bring it down a little bit so that it looks more like sort of a shadow underneath that. Now, I've also decided I'm not sure I like those colors with this butterfly. Rather than go back and redo it all again, I'm simply going to click so the background becomes the active layer. I'm going to go up here under Image, Adjust, and Hue and Saturation. Use the color, saturations are how strong it is. Now this hue line up here, I can begin to move this around and change some of those colors till I get something that I think maybe works better. Yeah, like that. So we'll go there. And the saturation, I can also move it and lighten those colors way up. In other words, make them more pastels. Or I can really saturate them and make them much stronger colors. We'll get back to there. Lighten and darken, that just simply means you're going to lighten the whole area or darken it. We'll lighten it up a little so the butterfly stands out a little more. Okay, so pretty simple. We created a canvas. We have added 3 different layers to it. We created a drop shadow to give a 3-dimensional effect underneath, and after having done the colors, we've gone in and altered them a little bit. So that's lesson 3.